Get ready with me while I tell you why I decided to put my girl, my 6 months old, in daycare instead of hiring a nanny, because I've received a couple of questions because it is not very common here in Canada to put your kid that early in daycare, especially because we have 1 year maternity leave. So I want to talk about it. But first of all, let's close these blinds because it is extremely sunny and it's like making it uncomfortable. Next, I have a almost 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. And I decided to take only 4 months of maternity leave because basically like I'm a contractor where I am working. So like, even though like I had maternity benefits from the government, like my job was not secured because I was a contractor. So I was like, I like my job. I like where I'm working. So this is my second experience. I already knew that, coming back to work is not the end of the world, and it can bring like also a lot of good things for like moms, like mental health and all of that. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. I like my job, so let's only take 4 months of maternity leave. Of course, the question was, what am I gonna do with a 4-month-old baby if I have to work 40 hours a week? So my initial plan was like, I'm going to hire a nanny if I don't find childcare, because I've gone through that and I well know that it's so difficult to find childcare in Vancouver. So my plan was like, okay, I'm just gonna hire a nanny. Nevertheless, I didn't stop applying to daycares and registering in the wait lists and all of that. I did my homework. I didn't do so much with my first because I didn't know how the system works here. And if you're thinking about having a baby here in Canada, or in the US, because it's what I've heard, I highly encourage you to look at these topics because they can be a nightmare. So I came back to work and my baby was 4 months old. I didn't have childcare and I didn't have a nanny like on the pipeline. And I well knew that I was gonna be quite obsessive about it because I knew myself and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go through the interview process with the nannies. My in-laws came to help me for a month and then my parents came to help me for another month. And my plan was to secure a nanny that I was confident with in those 2 months. What ended up happening is that I got an offer from the daycare that I wanted my girl to be in. It's actually a daycare that has more than 2 years of wait list, but miracles happen and I got a spot. And this is where I thinking what do I want to do? So they would take my baby at 6 months because that's the start date that I actually filled out. And I was like, you know what? I am going to go with the daycare path for various reasons. This one is because